advantage. There's disadvantages to it. Yeah, trying to, to move into the city after something like this. You're pretty countryside.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't like it. I like the privacy and the quietness. And living in an area where you don't have to worry about what everybody thinks. Everything you do is not observed.
Mm.
Hey, I like hiking. Like what y'all are doing is, you're out there and you're depending on yourself. You learn, and it builds self-sufficiency, and that's all good. I think it's an advantage, and in this day and age, with the young people that are so unself-sufficient because just the way they're raised,
Mm-hmm.
the way they do things. Well, they're self-sufficient sometimes in different ways, but anyway, I think it's kind of a disadvantage for a lot of people.
Do all your siblings live up here still?
Yeah.
Did everyone stay here?
Three.
Three of them? Out of how many?
Three of us, and one is in Deming. He's,
So not too far away.
No, and it's still New Mexico. It's still a small town. He's got, my brother, he's very, very religious. He's got very involved in church and stuff. And that requires people. So, yeah. And this place, you can get your fill of people here. But you're seeing them in their best light.
Oh yeah.
Really. And that is one of the most pleasant things about this is the people that we see, they're enjoying themselves and they're happy.
Yeah.
And if you got to have a customer base, that's a good one to hunt.
That is some really good words there.
Yeah.
I like that. How many people live up here?
About 30.
Oh, 30 year-round residents?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice little town then.
Yeah, it is.
Not so much town though, right?
It's a
No
community.
Town? It's a community.
We're not a town. We're not a political. Well, we actually are. Strangely to be, we have a irrigation association.
Oh yeah.
And in New Mexico, an irrigation association and a town is exactly the same thing. Recognized as the same. We get a charter like a town.
Okay.
And we get approved, by the state of New Mexico. And so it comes from the old Spanish communities that were here long before, when this was part of Spain and then Mexico both. Because, a town requires everybody working together to put together the infrastructure, the streets, the water system, the fire department, the police force, that requires everybody working together. Well, the original small community, there was just, very few people, and there was no police department, there was no water, no sanitation, no streets, nothing like this. But there was the irrigation ditches that they all had to work with, and they all had to share. And so this, and they called it the acequias. That's the Spanish word for ditch, irrigation ditch. And these acequias, they developed over time as in these small communities, because you don't grow stuff without irrigating it here. We're too arid. So it became a community surrounding and it was one thing they all had to work with together. No matter how much they disliked one another, in-laws, outlaw fights, and stuff like that, they had to maintain that ditch to survive. So everybody had a certain responsibility, and they set this up. And so it's the most rudimentary government in the world. And it's a lot of, there are places outside of the United States where they have this, the necessity of these people working together. So, after the when the United States took over New Mexico, Arizona Territory, California, they governments come in and governments beget governments. That's what government does. It just grows and grows. Okay. And so they came in, and we were very lucky here in New Mexico that we had a phenomenally intelligent or perceptive, whatever it was, military governor assigned. And he was a colonel and then General Kearney. And when he came in, he had to rectify all the problems of us now being the government, not Mexico. And he created what was called the Kearney Code. And basically, it was kind of like a treaty between the new military leader, dictator, if you will, because that's that's really the power he had. He was the military governor, and there was no Senate, there was nothing. That one man, that was top dog. And so he did this, and what he did was he basically allowed all the Spanish people, Mexicans actually at that time, Mexican citizens, now new Mexico citizens, to keep their properties, keep as many of their laws as they could that weren't just totally contrary to the laws of the United States. Our laws are British common law. Is the basis of our law. You've got the Napoleonic Code, which is a French, and I don't know what the German is, and then you have the Iberian law, which is from Spain. And so a lot of our law is based on Iberian law. And it works quite well with common law because there's people are kind of the same, and so the same laws apply pretty well. Anyway, but when you get into the nuances and all, you get this. So one of the really big things is the Acequias that came from this. And this is a garden in northern New Mexico. This is the people up there, for the most part, their families have been there for 400 years. Mixed up with the Indian, Anglos, but they're not Latinos or something like this. They're Spanish. That's what they call themselves. And they're very proud of it. And that's all the way up into Colorado. The San Luis Valley has the same thing. Anyway, as you go up, as you see this, and it's really a big thing. We celebrate it a little bit. We have a yearly meeting. I am the chairman, My wife is secretary. My sister is mayor domo. Uh, and the we got an outsider to be treasurer. Somebody that's not family. And it's very difficult to find somebody that'll do the job. We have most of the fields and most of it, and it's everything is set up. Your voting rights there are not one person, one vote. You vote by the acres that you have.
Oh yeah.
Which is where the Iberian law comes in. See, now you might consider it okay. You vote by wealth, yes, by prestige a little bit, but it is, in other words, if you have 5 acres, you have 5 times as many votes as a guy with 1 acre. You also have 5 times as much expense. You have 5 times as much water product. It's all, which is a phenomenally fair way to distribute the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what happens is my sister and I were about the same. You know, on total irrigated acres, the paid for irrigated acres, I think I'm about the highest. But you know, it isn't a lot of acres. Yeah. But and then everybody else, and then a lot of people have just a half an acre. But they get a vote. You know, they get a half acre vote. And so here's what happens is we got 25 acres, 26 acres out here. You know, I have about 6 acres. My sister has about 6 acres. So we got half of it. And then, so we can be dictators. We can be. Well, it's really a lot better to be a benevolent dictator. A lot easier. And everybody, you know, and so you just have to consider everybody's, you know, their feelings. But and as you go, you know, up into other areas, the Acequias can have 100 people and be 1,000 or 500 acres. Most of them are, you know, one ditch. They normally split it up, and so for the most part, most Acequias, to be a Acequia, you got to have 3 members by state law. Most of them are from, you know, from 3 to 20. And that's just the way it works. So it's interesting, but it's a small government, a small thing, and with that number of people, things are very easy.
Mm-hmm.
It gets complicated when governments have thousands of people, and it gets impossible when they have millions, as we're witnessing right now.
Yeah.
It's just there is just too much. There is not enough common ground. And that's one of the things you enjoy it, you know, what makes it so nice here is that my customers we have the same interests. You know, you're getting out, you're moving out into the area I was raised in. And so, yeah, so we look at things very similarly. And so that, you know, most everybody that comes out, they don't come out here because they have to. They come out because they want to. And so there's a similarity here. And so it does make it a lot easier. And, I mean, you know, in town, you go to a doctor because you got to. And you're not necessarily happy. But no, that's one of the jobs that somehow I never wanted to do. I never had any interest in medical. And I think it goes back to a deeper root, is that, you know, I want doctors over there. I don't want although they're fine people, you know, and there are doctors that come out here, a lot of them. Get a lot of them that come out here. Very nice. They're enjoying it. But they're not doctoring.
Yeah.
They're just being people. Anyway, I better run.
Okay.